Hi guys, how's it going today? Chelsea Face here. I'm excited because today I want to give you some fall, autumn, cozy, super cozy, like real cozy fall reads. So let's jump into it. I have 10 books that I want to recommend you for if you're in the mood for like spooky or fall or cozy, warm, like cool, windy, leaf changing seasons here. So these books are going to be ones that I think you should read or check out or just consider picking up if you're wanting to get into the fall spirit. I have a little bit of everything here, so let's just jump in. The first book I have here is The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. I'm at page 165 in this book, chapter 12. But I'm really enjoying it so far. I think that this is going to be a definite favorite for the season of fall and almost winter. It's about a small town that is like a coastal town, but like also has like an island on it. And you can boat to and from, and they have a lot of, sailors come in and out and tourists that come in and out because they're cursed, this little town, that these three sisters, kind of in the hocus pocus sense, were killed because they were enticing men. So they were hanged, or drowned or killed somehow. I forget how they were killed exactly. But they were murdered because they thought they were witches. And we're finding out the truth, I think, about what really happened back in the day and present time whenever these witches come back and are picking young men to drown in the water as revenge. And they've been doing this for like 200 years. So it's really interesting to see what that might have actually been or what it's going to actually reveal to be. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's really well written and I think it's like perfect for the fall season. It's just spooky enough, but it's not like scary, and it's got death in it, but it's not like super, descriptive and gory or anything. So I think this is be good for a lot of ages. Very beautiful book. I can't wait to finish it. The next book I want to recommend you is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This is a classic that everyone in the horror world should know about. The most frightening book Stephen King has ever written, and I don't disagree with that. I've never read all of his books, but this is one of my at least top two. It's so good. It's about a man and his family. I think it's man and wife, a daughter, and then a toddler son. So it's them moving to a new town because the husband got a new job as a doctor at a university, like a school. And some tragic things happen. He becomes a little traumatized. They find out that there's a pet cemetery like near their home, like within walking distance. And the daughter, learns about it. She starts to learn about death. And it's very kind of a sad story as well. So if you're not prepared for that, just, understand that this isn't just a horror book. It's also kind of a tragedy. And it's a little sad to see the things that end up happening. And they have a neighbor that they're pretty close with that they get to know who warns them about the pet cemetery. And apparently if you bury animals in the certain back part, like the back end of the pet cemetery, it can come back to life. And it's a little different. So it's not just like they're fine or they're a brain eater. They're just different. And explains why in the end of this book. And it's different from the movie, at least the old one. I've only just started the new movie. I haven't seen the whole thing, so I don't know if it actually tells you how it ends. But it's not that long of a book. This is just the mass paperback, so it's like over 300 pages. If you got like the full size, it might not be this big. But it's so good. So good. I think more people need to read this book. It's fantastic, and I keep recommending it to people who want to try King or who really love horror. This is truly spooky. Like, not a lot of books really scare me, but this one scared me in a couple parts. It was really good. I don't know what season it's necessarily put in, but it really puts me in the spirit of fall and Halloween season and just the weird, misty atmosphere that you feel during that time of year. The next book I have is one that not only makes me feel like fall, but it also has a very fall vibe to it. I think it might actually have been written during the summer, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. I can't remember. But it's a very beautiful book, and I highly recommend it for this. It is Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power. This is the signed copy that I just got so lucky and found at a bookstore. And it's about a girl named Margot who lives with her mother, and they're not in the best situation. Like, it's almost like neglecting and needs to be checked into by social services for sure. But she runs away from home trying to figure out where she came from and why her mother is so secretive about her history and her family, and like where is she from and everything. Like, her mom doesn't want her to know, and she's kind of mean to her. And so she goes and she finds her grandmother, and she ends up living with her against her mother's wishes, and figures out what's really up with her family. And it's really weird. This is a really weird book, but it's really well written, and I love Rory Power's work so far. I think I gave both of her books 5 stars that I've read. Can't wait for the next one. She's already talking about it on Instagram. Follow her if you aren't, because I love seeing her stories. This one, look how beautiful and like fall and orangey and fiery this cover is. It's got cornfields and this beautiful woman on the front. It's got a sapphic character, so not necessarily in a relationship, but if you just want to see that, it's in here. And it's not too long of a book, so it's not a huge commitment. I flew through this fairly quickly. It's less than, it's 340 pages, I think. And it just has all the vibes of this small town that really make me feel like I want to go through a corn maze, because they are in corn most of this video. There's like a big cornfield in the property of her grandmother. And that just makes me really think of fall and going through corn mazes and hay rides and pumpkin patches. And I just think that this is a really good one to put you in the mood. And it's a little bit spooky and a little strange. So if you like weird stuff with sapphic characters, I think this is a good one for you. The next book I have for you is a little bit older. It's a Ruth Ware book in a dark, dark wood. This is one of her first, if not her first book, I'm not quite sure. But if you don't know anything about Ruth Ware, she's very addictive in her writing, at least in my opinion. I've only read 2 of her books, but I really want to read more. Not necessarily because these books were fantastic, in my opinion. Like, I don't know if I gave them both 3 stars or what, but I read this one and The Woman in Cabin 10, and I was always dissatisfied by the ending, but I think I was expecting something a little more adult thriller than this. Is very tame adult domestic thriller. Nothing really serious ends up happening in this book, so it's not too scary, but it is a little eerie and leaves you feeling a little bit of like suspense and mystery as far as like who done it and what is it. And I think this was based off an Agatha Christie novel, so if you're used to things like that, this is probably up your alley. But it's very, very spooky, and it's a story about a group of friends who go to a cabin in the woods, isolated from everyone, for a bachelorette party for a friend who's getting married. And the main character that we're following has kind of been distant from this friend for a long time, and she doesn't really know why she was invited, but she was, so she goes. A lot of really crazy things happen, and people die, and they're trying to figure out who done it. And I think it's just perfect for this season. It starts to get really cold at parts in this book, so you can think like, snowy and really cold parts of fall. And I remember there being sections about she can see her breath, and I think that kind of just puts me in the mood and the temperature of where we're at in a book, because when they talk about, the condensation in their breath being seen. I just really think this is a good read for this time of year, and I liked it a lot. I think that the writing is very good. Like I said, Ruth Ware's writing is addictive somehow. It's kind of like a drug, but I don't know what it's lacking. Like, every book I've read is lacking something, but it's still really good. I think you should check it out. It's a recommendation for me in fall for sure. The next book I want to recommend you is one that I don't own a copy of yet. I will one day, but I rented it from the library. It is Pumpkinheads by, I think, Rainbow Rowell and I forgot the name of the artist, but I'll have it on the screen so you can see for yourself. But this is a graphic novel / comic book. It's just a one-shot thing that's really, really cute. The art is fantastic. It's so colorful and pretty and muted in the way that like fall is always kind of orangey brown and purpley, those kinds of tones. So the color palette is fantastic if you're into the art of graphic novels. It's just a story about these 2 teenagers who are about to graduate high school, I think, and they're about to go off to different colleges. And so they're a little bit sad that they're not going to be seeing each other, because every year they go to this huge pumpkin patch / carnival kind of thing where it's like a maze. It has games, it has stalls where you can buy food and buy things. You can ride horses and do all kinds of fun activities that are fall related, and they want to enjoy the last night. So they kind of go off from their usual like stalls where they're supposed to be working, but some shenanigans ensue. It's really cute. It's beautiful and fun and funny. I think everyone should read this if you have not yet. I don't think there's really anything wrong with it unless you just don't like the ending, which that's just an opinion. You know, I've seen some people say they love the ending and some people say they don't really care for it, but I liked it. I thought it was really cute and really sweet. I just want more people to read this. Check your library if you don't have the money to spend, because it is a little expensive. If you get like the hardcover, it was beautiful and I want more people to read it. So check that one out. The next one I want to recommend you is also a audiobook that I listened to. It's In the Tall Grass by Stephen King and Joe Hill. I think it's both of them, like a collaboration between father and son. It's interesting that I picked this one because, like, once again, I don't know when this is supposed to take place. Like, I didn't really look into when these books happened, like if they were in the fall or not. It's just the vibe that they gave me and the feeling that it made me feel like this is a good book I think that people would want to read in the fall or autumn. This book is very short, so you're not going to like waste a lot of time if you don't like it. It's about a brother and sister who, the sister is pregnant. I think her boyfriend left her, and they're going all the way to, I think, California or somewhere very far off across the country to spend time with their family or their cousins or something, just to help take care of them and the baby and her during her pregnancy. So it's a little bit tragic starting off with, like, she's going through a lot of things. And I've noticed that that's something that Stephen King likes to do. He likes to put his characters through the ringer before it even starts. There's a little bit of mystery too as to why her man left her and why she's been left alone and why her brother's with her. But the book is very good. I think that it has some really interesting elements to it. Don't watch the movie on Netflix. It is so bad. And then they introduce some really weird element that doesn't make any sense. Please don't watch the Netflix movie. It's so bad. It's so bad. Like, it's not even close to the book, like, as far as what happens. But it's about this brother and sister who are they're traveling, and then they pull over to the side of the road because I don't know if she got sick or I forget why they pulled over, but they pulled over at this like little church that looks abandoned, and across the street is just this huge field of tall grass. Like, it's way over your head tall grass. There's no one else around. Like, this is just an abandoned area with like an old church, and they hear a child screaming at them from in the field across the street, and she's like, we need to go find this kid because they're lost, obviously. And they were saying that their mom and dad were in there and they couldn't find them. So he goes into the grass, can't find the kid. He hears him getting closer, and then he hears him getting further away, and it's just really like, confusing, and it feels supernatural with that. And then she goes into the tall grass and some spooky things happen, and it's very gruesome. It's very messed up and dark, and it gets very mystical. People's personalities change. I can't really describe it without spoiling it too much, but just trust me on this one. It's a very easy thing to just fly through. I listened to the audiobook, I think, just on my way to and from work one day, and I drive like an hour to work. It was very, very good. I think that if you can handle the gory, there might be some cannibalism in this, so just be prepared for that. And it's very, very good. I think that more people need to check this one out, and it felt like fall to me, so yeah. The next one I want to recommend is also an audiobook that I listened to. It's called the Sundown Motel. I don't remember who the author of this is, but I'll have it on the screen so you can see it. This was a book that, once again, I don't know when it was supposed to take place, but it felt very fall. And it's about a girl who really wanted to get to know her aunt. Her mother is not very open about who her aunt was. She said she died or disappeared. Yeah, she said she disappeared and was killed by a serial killer or something, or involved with a serial killer back in her old hometown. So she goes to this town, quits school, and she starts working at the same place that her aunt used to work. Tries to figure out the mystery of, did someone kill her aunt? Did her aunt run away? Did her aunt just disappear? And she ends up finding out some ghosties are at that location that she works. So it's got some supernatural elements to it. It does have trigger warnings for like mentions of rape and murder and stuff like that, and some blood and stuff. So just be prepared for that if you go into this. But it is very spooky and very good, well written. I think that it kept my attention the entire time. The ending kind of did, there were parts of the ending that were predictable, but also I didn't predict the very end twist, which I guess some people probably would. I might not have been on my game that day. But it's good. I think that if you want a spooky motel feel, this is a very good one to pick up because it was just so appropriate and it felt like there were real stakes at hand in this one. It wasn't just like a, ooh, fun. It was pretty spooky. The next book I want to recommend you is this one. The title is obviously inappropriate for me to say, but it's by Leah Hampton. And it's a short story collection, and I haven't read, this might be the only short story collection I've ever read that I can remember, but it's very short, and there are a lot of different settings in this story, but I think the majority of them really put me in the fall vibes and make me just really want to go outside and drink some hot cocoa on a hammock out in the cool breeze, or it makes me want to start a fire. I've got like a fireplace now, but it doesn't work. But like, you know, it makes me want to, and then cozy up under a blanket. There are some sad stories in this, so it does kind of put you in a colder place. And then there's some really heartwarming stories in here that just put you in a nice, like, heartfelt place. So I think that it's got such a good mixture of stories and settings that it could really put you in the mountains at one moment, in a cabin, or it could put you in a small town where weird things are happening. Overall, I think that this is a very good book, and I just think it would be a good one to read during the fall. I think that more people need to check this out. It came out in May of this year, so it's already been out. This was an arc that I won through Goodreads, but I really liked it. I think that it's a good book. It does have some trigger warnings, nothing way too serious. I think there's talks of miscarriage or abortion in here, and then there's some fires that happened. There's some death and some bleeding. But I don't think it was anything like super descriptive. It was always just like, this is what happened to somebody. But just be prepared for that if you want to pick this one up. Next, I want to recommend you Final Girls by Riley Sagar. I haven't read any other Riley Sagar book, but I know every single book that they've written seems to be about the same vibes, and I want to read more by them. But this one is a book about a group of women who were the final girls, which means that there was a murderer in some situation that killed everyone in the group except them. So they were the only survival, kind of like in a horror movie when there's like a girl left. So they were the three final girls, and one of them ends up killing herself. So trigger warnings for that. And the other two try to figure out why, and did she really do it, or was she actually murdered? You know, none of these girls really know why they survived, and like, were they chosen or what? And they figure out that there's an actual killer in the area that's may or may not be close to them. It's very spooky. There's a cabin setting at one point that takes you back and forth between perspectives. This is a past of the main character who, her final girl situation, like when her friends were murdered. You go back and forth between that perspective back then and then her now, where she's struggling to move on and live her life like a normal person. And it's just really, really good. I think that this book is great for anyone. I think that most people would enjoy this. It's a very mass appealing book. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think that it was written for the majority of people to enjoy. And I really liked it. I think that I need to pick up more Riley Sagar books. And something about the cabin setting just really says fall to me. I really, really vibe with that, and I like more cabin books. I need to read more books set in the woods. That's just a very fun setting to me. The next thing I want you to check out, if you so please, is the Nailbiter comic series. Now, I know this sounds like a big investment, but it really isn't. These books came out a long time ago, like maybe around 2014, so you can find them used, or you can buy them new at a comic shop and get, you know, support a small business. This is a series about a small town that is experiencing a very strange phenomenon. The phenomenon being that for some reason a ton of serial killers are born in the same small town, and they don't know why. I am only through the third volume. I'm about to start the 4th one. I just got it. Every one of these trades has like 6 issues in it. So you can get them this way, or you can do single issues. They might be a little harder to find, I don't know. But I paid less than 10 for all of these, like each. So you can get them fairly cheap. But this series is very spooky. It has some gore in it and some very tense moments in it. So if you're not ready for that kind of adult thing, I might not check this out. But I think that if you are ready for Halloween and the spooky season and just some really muted color tones, like this is very fall color palette, I think that this would be a great read for anybody. Like, it's so good, but it is very dark and very gritty, and it has some very interesting mob mentality going on in it, and I think even some supernatural stuff going on. I'm not quite sure yet. I haven't gotten that far, but I really, really like it. I think more people need to read it, even though it's probably gone past its prime, and I'm a little late to the comic book game. I'm just now kind of getting into comics, but I really liked it. I think it's a fantastic read, especially during the fall, because of the colors, and the seasons during this it does go with the time. So it goes through, you know, winter, spring, summer, fall, all of that. And right now I think I'm in the fall season, and it's just so pretty. Like, I'm about to read about Halloween, and I'm so excited. It's so fun. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this fall recommendations video. I hope that some of this, you know, resonated with you, and that you want to check out some of these books. They really mean a lot to me, and I've read all of them except finished The Wicked Deep. So I really hope you'll check them out. Let me know if you do, and if you like them, or if you have another recommendation, let me know based off of the things that I like too, because like, I'm always looking for things that are similar to what I like. So hit me up. And I hope you have a good day. Stay safe, and see you next time. Bye, guys.